Hi there. This is Kathy with the Rock Your Retirement Show, and I have an important announcement. We'll be taking a sabbatical until January 2020. If you'd like to stay in touch, head on over to rockyourretirement.com/community and join our Facebook group. I'll be keeping in touch for the rest of the year in the Facebook group. In the meantime, you can go back to the episodes that you missed and catch up. But until January 2020, we'll be on hold. So I'll see you then on the Rock Your Retirement Show. Bye. This episode was episode 111, where Jenna Ryan came on to talk about a drink mix that can actually help prevent urinary tract infections. And if you listen to Dr. Camille Newton's episode, you also know that urinary tract infections can look like dementia. I'm here with Jenna Ryan, who I actually met at a networking event, and she sells this drink mix that I was really interested in. And I asked her, hey, do you want to come on the Rock Your Retirement Show? Because I'd never heard anything like this before. And basically what this drink mix does is it helps prevent urinary tract infections. And we're not going to say urinary tract infection over and over again. We're going to use the abbreviation UTI. And one of the things that I want you to understand is that as we age, it becomes more and more difficult to actually know if you have a UTI. And sometimes our family members might get a UTI, and it comes out in different forms. It comes out looking like dementia. Or I was actually just talking with somebody today who told me that a friend of mine was in the hospital, an older friend, a gentleman, and I didn't know it because he didn't tell me, and we'd been emailing, and they thought he had a stroke. And what it was a UTI. So, Jenna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Kathy.
Well, I am so impressed that you created this. Now, let's be honest. You really didn't create it for grandma and grandpa. You have a different reason why you created it. So why don't you tell us this story?
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, life's a journey, and it's not exactly where I started out, but I set out creating Uqora really to solve a problem in my own life. I have always suffered from chronic UTIs, and some people just have more of a struggle with UTIs naturally, but plenty of people have problems with UTIs in general. As you've discussed, it's a huge widespread issue. So my particular story is that in 2014, I had 8 urinary tract infections.
Boy.
Yes, I know. It's something you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. And, you know, at this point, I was more determined than ever to find a solution that didn't require me being on antibiotics consistently. So if you have ever gone through this situation, then you know that your options are, you know, cranberry juice or cranberry products, which frankly don't hold up. They're not up to snuff. They do not work. Or prophylactic antibiotics, where you can take daily antibiotics, which is effective in terms of preventing a urinary tract infection, but it has this whole other dark side to it, which means you might get a different infection as a result of the antibiotics for the UTI, which was commonly happening to me. Or, you know, the kind of more scary side is eventually you can develop antibiotic resistance over time. So, you know, for me and my lifestyle, it wasn't an option to just constantly be on antibiotics. So I started to dig into what sort of research was available around natural ingredients that can really prevent UTIs in the first place. Unfortunately, there was some great research coming out that wasn't really being commercially leveraged.
Why do you think that is?
You know, I think that there's sort of an ick factor around UTIs that cause people to not talk about it as much as they should. So I think that in general, it's sort of an underappreciated topic because there's sort of this cycle where you're not going to make a big fuss about it. If you have a UTI, you normally sort of go and get your antibiotics, and it's not great dinner conversation.
Right, that's true.
So I think in general, there's a lack of appreciation for the magnitude. And then beyond that, I think it's a little bit societal. I think that with a really great treatment for something, which, antibiotics has long been a viable treatment for this, that, there's plenty of people who are fine just relying on the treatment and not worrying about being proactive about a preventative option. And so I think that there's a shift happening there. I think people care a lot more about preventative health than they necessarily did in the past. And I think there's a level of awareness increasing around UTIs. So I think it was kind of the right time and place in terms of this research that had been performed but hadn't really been leveraged well. And so I started to partner with physicians and urologists and, first just sort of get their buy-in around the approach we were taking to this problem, and then a subset of them were actually so excited about the product and the mission, truly believing that there had to be a preventative option in dealing with this as well, that, they joined us in some cases. So we actually have a great scientific advisory board here too at Uqora that is comprised of some folks who agree with what we're doing and are ready to help us with that. So that was sort of the journey in terms of the genesis of the product. But as you alluded to, I am someone I'm premenopausal. I get UTIs, specific instances, and it's almost always following sex for me.
Yeah, that doesn't happen so much in the older population. Don't get me wrong. If you listen to the Rocky Retirement Show, we talk about sex here. And some of our most fun episodes. But what I'm talking about is in the really older generation where they're frail, they get these UTIs, and I'm talking about my listeners' parents, and they get these UTIs, and then people think they have dementia or they've had a stroke. And it was so funny, so weird. I don't want to say funny. Yeah. That's the wrong word. So weird. Like, I had no idea that a UTI could express itself as dementia. Because these older people, they don't even know they have it. Mm-hmm. When you're younger, you can tell when you have a UTI. But I guess as you get older, the symptoms, it changes. So I'm sure you've done a little bit more research, because when you came out with this product, you probably weren't thinking about the older adult population.
That's exactly right.
But it seems like the older adult, it's more of a dramatic, like, we need this product and we need it now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And so what you're describing is that UTIs are more prevalent in folks who are older adults. And, it actually the trajectory sort of changes after menopause. So after we stop producing estrogen, our vagina becomes a more hospitable place for bacteria to move and travel. And that lack of estrogen also translates to our muscle mass surrounding our bladder. So there's sort of this confluence effect of things that start to take place at that point. And then as we get older, it all sort of gets worse. And then there are sometimes folks who incontinence becomes more and more of an issue, which is an exacerbating factor for UTIs. And then if you're non-ambulatory, if you aren't moving around a lot, you're also way more at risk. And then, as you said, the thing that's really, really wild here, and I don't think very well known unless you've come across this firsthand, and I certainly wasn't aware of it, is that those symptoms that people often associate with UTIs, frequency with urination, burning with urination, etc., don't present in that population of folks who are older. And, sometimes they will present, but oftentimes it'll be this whole different set of symptoms like you described, which is delirium and disorientation or dizziness, and people get confused and maybe they're even hallucinating. And what's scary about this is it can often be misdiagnosed as early Alzheimer's. And, as I've become more involved in this world, I've heard too many stories of this mistake leading to an excruciating long process in which someone is even starting to be treated for Alzheimer's or dementia, sometimes moved out of their home to some sort of memory care unit, drawing out the time that it takes for the UTI to be identified, for one, and then B, starting this process that can be tricky to undo. Once you're in a memory care unit, and you're sort of being pegged as having this certain disorder, it can be kind of difficult to undo that diagnosis, when in the end it was really just a UTI that went unchecked.
Isn't that weird? So you're shipped off to a memory care facility, you're put on medications for dementia, and really it was just a UTI. That just seems so ludicrous when you think about it. It's like,
it almost feels stranger than fiction.
I know, but it does happen. And I was, like I said, when I first found out about this, I was like, really? I mean, that was just incredible. So your product actually helps prevent urinary tract infections. It doesn't cure it, right? It just helps prevent. How does that work?
Yes, we aren't a treatment. We are a preventive option. And so how Uqora works is we provide a multifold defense against bacteria that causes UTIs. And I should back up first and actually just describe what it's like. It's a drink mix, as you said, and it's pink lemonade flavor. So we actually modeled the taste after Crystal Light pink lemonade. So if you've ever tasted that, you can imagine what Uqora tastes like. And you mix it with a glass of water and drink it when you're at risk. And for this group that we're describing, that's daily, because really it isn't the same as someone who's younger and can just drink Uqora right after sex or exercise. When you're in this sort of more sensitive population, you're at constant risk, to put it that way. So the way Uqora works is, as I said, it's a multifold defense, and you can segment its active ingredients into 3 distinct functions: bacterial defense, urine stimulation, and an immune system boost. And there are a couple different ingredients that target the bacteria, the first of which binds with the bacteria that cause UTIs. So by binding with that bacteria in your urinary tract, Uqora's ingredients can prevent that bacteria from instead adhering to your urinary tract, which would cause an infection. And this way you can just occupy that bacteria and safely flush it out. And these ingredients that target the bacteria have shown more than a 75% reduction in UTI incident in clinical trials.
More than 75? Okay, so if it's been shown to reduce UTIs by 75%, I mean, I love the fact that you're doing this, but why didn't the researchers create a product like this? I don't get it.
I'm not sure either, Kathy. And I should say that you could buy Uqora's individual ingredients on your own if you wanted to. So it isn't that it's completely commercially inaccessible. It's that there's no education around it, is it? You can dig through the research, you can find these naturally occurring ingredients and figure out that they work with UTI prevention. But I did that. I was poring over materials when I was in 2014 in the throes of my UTI apocalypse. And it's not available. For whatever reason, there hasn't been an interest to bring it into the mainstream. And so, part of what we're doing at Uqora is we're helping with that information. We're packaging up ingredients that come at it in a bunch of different ways. So it isn't just a single ingredient carrying all the weight here. And we're telling the story. We're making sure people understand how UTI prevention works in a more holistic way, and helping bring that information into the forefront.
That is so important what you're doing. It's just amazing that people can, I don't want to say prevent dementia, but prevent the symptoms of dementia just by drinking a glass of lemonade. I mean, it's just awesome.
Right.
It is just awesome. Yeah. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about how the product works and general information about UTI prevention. So we'll be right back after this break. Do you want to make sure that you never miss an episode of the Rock Your Retirement Show? Did you know you can subscribe to the show? It's easy. We're in all the major podcast apps, including iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, and more. All you need to do is go to your favorite podcast app and search for the Rock Your Retirement Show. Or if you need more help, just go to rockyourretirement.com/subscribe and you'll find a short tutorial for either an iPhone or an Android phone. It's easy. Hey, before this show is over, I just wanted to thank Glenna Davis for supporting me on Patreon. She's giving us $5 per month to support the show. Thank you so much, Glenna. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show, just head on over to rockyourretirement.com/support and you can be a supporter too. Thanks. Okay, we're back, and I am here talking about UTIs with Jenna Ryan, whose company, she used to have UTIs all the time. And so finally, just out of her own defense, she created this product and then started offering it to other people, realized that there's a big market in our moms and dads, because when our moms and dads get a UTI, it presents itself as dementia or strokes. So, Jenna, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Kathy.
So, you've been in business since how long? 2015, 16, 14?
Yeah, so we started on this journey right after, around 2014, as I described, when it was my UTI apocalypse.
I love how you say that, UTI apocalypse.
Yeah, there's no other way to describe it. It was madness.
Well, it's 8 times, right?
8 times in 2014.
That is just crazy. That's like never getting rid of it.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny you say that. Let me explain why that is in part. This was game changing for me to find out about something called biofilm. Biofilm is something that happens when the bacteria that causes UTIs can sort of trick your body into laying dormant. So what it works is this sneaky bacteria can produce something called biofilm, which enables it to nest into your cells and wait for a good time to come out, like when your immune system is compromised. So it's created this barrier from the antibiotics. And so the antibiotics will clear out all of the bacteria that is active in your cells at that point, and it'll seem like you're in the clear from your UTI. But, down the road, it could be you have a cold or you're stressed about something at work or whatever it may be. This bacteria will decide it's a good time to release back into your urinary tract. And then another UTI will present. So at that point, it's sort of untied to your behavior and whatever you're doing externally in your life at that point. And it explains why maybe you've heard once you get a UTI, your likelihood of getting another increases. Right. And it's this process that is where that adage comes from.
Those bacteria are sneaky little sons of guns, aren't they?
They're so sneaky. And so this was really actually comforting for me to learn, because a lot of, popular wisdom around UTIs ties recurring UTIs to behavioral things like hygiene. And that can be really frustrating when you're someone who has chronic UTIs and you know that you're doing everything you should from a system and hygiene perspective, and you still can't get ahead of these infections. So, to anyone out there going through that process, you're not alone, and it isn't always something you can prevent externally. So.
Right, because they're sneaky. They're hiding, and they're putting the little biofilm blankets over them, hiding from the antibacteria pills that you're taking, and then they come out when you're feeling a little stressed out.
They are so sneaky. Yes.
Okay, now you listed 3 things that you want to attack the UTIs with, and you mentioned urine stimulation, immune system boost, and what was the first one that you talked about?
Targeting the bacteria itself.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when we went through that answer, we actually only talked about that first process of targeting the bacteria. But the 2 other tenets of the Uqora multifold approach is that there's a gentle diuretic in it, which increases urine stimulation, and urination is your body's best natural defense. So if you can just get a little bit more urine produced and flushing out that bacteria, that gives you a leg up in the first place. But you might be familiar with diuretics sometimes wiping out some of your electrolytes. So we balance that factor, which is that third bucket that I talked about, which is immune system function. So to counteract the gentle diuretic in Uqora, there's a handful of electrolytes and vitamins. The electrolytes to balance the diuretic, and the vitamins to keep your immune system functioning at its best, so that, things like the sneaky biofilm bacteria don't have the time to come out and wipe you out.
That's awesome. So now my question is, you've created this, and obviously it's not going to be 100. Like, I'm guessing it's not 100%. Like, you'll still occasionally get a UTI, right? Or has it wiped out your UTIs forever?
I'm careful to not use myself as a data point.
Okay.
I'm one person. It's been game changing for me, though.
That's awesome.
I've had about 1 UTI a year since 2014.
Now, going from 8 to 1 is huge difference. Huge difference.
It's given me my life back for sure.
Yeah. And again, I hate to keep bringing this back to, my listeners' mom and dad, but you're talking about somebody who's 80 years old, not having to deal with even 1 extra UTI a year can make such a huge difference in their life, especially when the bacteria is sneaky, but the UTIs in older people sneaky too. Those sneaky sons of guns, because they don't, like, nobody knows that they have a UTI. Everyone thinks they have dementia.
Right. Yeah. And something else we've heard as part of the reason it's hard to really effectively prevent UTIs, and that, the people you're mentioning, your moms and dads and that group of older folks, is that they have a hard time with hydration often in general. They're not super motivated to stay hydrated. Sometimes it can be, especially if you're more in that dementia set of people, you aren't necessarily remembering to stay hydrated. You don't necessarily want to. It's not forefront of your mind. And Uqora is actually sort of a great way to get that extra hydration in because it tastes good. It's pink lemonade. So from the people who actually, there's one woman specifically who's a customer of Uqora who sort of opened my eyes to the fact that this is a group of people who need, more help than people like me even, is that she was caring for her aunt who had Alzheimer's, and she was pouring Uqora in her water bottle every day. And she said that not only had it helped with her UTI incident, but that it was motivating her to actually finish that bottle of water, which used to be more of a chore. So it was kind of a 2-for-1, which is really cool because, both are important.
Well, water's kind of boring, and when you're drinking water, so I found that a lot of people, one of the reasons why they don't drink water straight out is they think it's going to, and yes, I know that Uqora has a gentle diuretic in it, but they don't want to be running back and forth to the bathroom all the time. It's harder for them to do that. But when you're drinking lemonade, you're not really thinking of that as much as when you're drinking water. So, I mean, we have to do it. We have to get the liquids into our bodies. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like I'm used to running back and forth to the bathroom all the time because I drink a lot of water. But this is just amazing what you've done. So you've created this. It's called Uqora. And how do you spell that?
Uqora.
And how do people get Uqora? Can they go to the grocery store and buy it, or do they have to buy it online? Where can they find it?
Great question. So it isn't actually available at brick and mortar at this point. It's all online. So you can get it on Amazon.com. We're also available on Amazon Prime. So that means you can get it next day delivery for, no extra charge if you're a Prime member.
That's my favorite. I'm a Prime member. I'm like, the bad news is when you're a Prime member, I think you buy more stuff.
I think it's dangerous.
It is.
I'm with you.
So Amazon Prime, Amazon, and what else?
And then our website, www.uqora.com. And that's Uqora.
And I'll have a link to that in the show notes as well. So if if you're driving or walking your dog or exercising, you don't have a pen, just, head over to the show notes at rockyretirement.com and I'll have all the links for you. So, we're coming to the end of our time together. Is there anything that you would like to say that we didn't get to?
I think we covered a lot of it. I guess the last thing, which I didn't get the chance to say, is, I said it in terms of magnitude. There's so many people who get urinary tract infections, but this is one stat that absolutely blew my mind, Kathy, when I first started looking into this. UTIs cause more doctor's visits every year in the United States outside of the common cold. So besides going to the doctor because you have a cold, doctors are treating more people for UTIs than any other factor, which is insane to me.
Well, think of how much money you can save if you're not running to the doctor with a UTI. Well, thank you.
Others.
Yeah, thank you so much. I usually don't bring people on to talk about a product, but this is just so important, and UTIs just touch so many people's lives without them even realizing it. So if you have a mom or dad, aunt, uncle, and they seem to be getting a little loopy, maybe seem like they have dementia, or maybe they're being treated for dementia now, have the doctor check them out for a UTI, and then check out Uqora to see if it can help. So thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Kathy. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And for the listener, we'll see you next time on Rock Your Retirement.